On January 10th of this year, actress Michelle Yeoh got up on stage at the Golden Globes, held up her award, and said 40 years, not letting go of this. After a 40-year career that has seen her play a Bond girl, a martial arts master, and even a Nobel Peace Prize winner, this was her first mainstream award. I actually found her acceptance speech really moving, and if you haven't seen it, you should really check it out. I'll put the link in the description. In her speech, you can sense her long frustration, we get a taste of her dry humor, but ultimately her speech is about hope. It's about an actress who, after being overlooked for years, is finally being noticed. This is the story of Michelle Yeoh and why the Academy should give her the Oscar this year. And by doing so, Hollywood would finally be giving her the recognition she deserves. All right, I got a bit of a confession to make. When I watched Crazy Rich Asians back in 2018, I had to look online to see who had played the matriarch in the movie. This was an amazing performance. She managed to play regal, elegant, but ultimately unmistakably vulnerable and human. That's a killer combination. So I was totally expecting her to at least get an Oscar nomination. But when the nominations came out in 2019, nothing.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you.
And that was a huge disappointment. So when awards season rolled around this year, I was on the edge of my seat. Everything Everywhere All at Once was up for nominations, and I was positive she would get a nomination this time around. Lo and behold, we have a nomination. Her first nomination, in fact, and it's for the big enchilada. Best performance by an actress in a leading role. So this is it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I don't know if she's gonna win it. There's some tough competition, but today, I hope I can convince you why she should win. So, to my 27 subscribers, if any of you happen to be an Oscar voter, get your ballot out. Let's do this. So it turns out I actually have seen Michelle Yeoh in movies before. I guess I just didn't make the connection when I watched Crazy Rich Asians. The big one I saw her in was Memoirs of a Geisha back in 2005. Michelle Yeoh plays an older geisha and mentor to the young and beautiful Chio. She was great. More recently, I'd actually seen her in Guardians of the Galaxy, but that was a much smaller role. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Michelle Yeoh's been in the industry for ages. I looked up her film credits online, and the list went all the way back to 1984 to a movie called The Owl vs. Bumbo. Okay, before I even go any further, can you even guess what that movie's about just by going by the title, The Owl vs. Bumbo? Apparently that's how they translated Dumbo. True story. So I'm looking through all of her films in the beginning, and the early ones, I've never heard of them. Movies like Yes, Madam, The Owl vs. Bumbo, which I already mentioned, and Zhanghua Zhanshi. Zhanghua, yeah, I butchered that. So I looked closer and I actually realized, oh, they're martial arts movies that were filmed in Hong Kong. This means Michelle Yeoh started her career in action movies. That's badass. And she did a lot of them. From 1984 to 1996, she did 18 films. That's 18 films in 12 years. And that's with a 5-year gap in the middle. All right, I was actually curious about this gap, so I did some research. Turns out, in 1989, she married a businessman, who then pressured her to quit acting. Talk about controlling. Lucky for us, she came to her senses, ditched him, and got right back to work. She finally got her first Hollywood film in 1997 when she was cast as a Bond girl opposite Pierce Brosnan in Tomorrow Never Dies. Guess what? She nailed it. She showed Hollywood that not only could she do her own stunts, but she could act as well. Her performance was praised by critics for breathing new life into the Bond series. Over the following few years, she booked a whole bunch of smaller roles. But more excitingly, this is where she landed a few of the big ones. First, she was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the sleeper hit of 2002, which showed us just how handy she was with the sword. Memoirs of a Geisha came 5 years later. Now this is actually really cool, because she got to play opposite her Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon co-star, Zhang Ziyi, except unlike before, where they were fighting with swords, this time we get to see them go at it with words and snarky comebacks. She later even got to play Burmese politician Aung San Suu Kyi, the daughter of a Burmese revolutionary who stood as a symbol of peaceful resistance in a country racked by unrest and violence. I mean, this was a great role at the time. Aung San Suu Kyi is somewhat less popular nowadays, to put it nicely. Finally, we're back to Crazy Rich Asians, where she plays the titular crazy rich mother who disapproves of her son's choice of girlfriend.
You will never be enough.
Spoiler alert, she eventually has a change of heart, but not before she shows us how to do a killer death stare, how to wrap an insult in a compliment, and how to make Chinese dumplings by hand. Now recently, Michelle has actually given us a little insight as to why she wasn't even busier in the early 2000s. Remember, this was actually when she was coming off her star turn as a Bond girl. And it wasn't just her Hollywood debut, this was a leading role in one of the highest profile movies at the time it came out. And as you'd expect, she was offered plenty of roles in the years following, but according to Michelle, she actually ended up turning most of them down. She said in an interview that most of the roles she had been offered played up Asian stereotypes, and she wanted nothing to do with that. Rather than perpetuate negative stereotypes for a paycheck, she'd just rather not work at all. That's awesome. To have the integrity to turn down roles when they go against your values. I mean, what makes it even more noteworthy is, as a woman, as well as a minority, roles were probably already hard to come by. When she turned them down, she probably didn't even know where her next paycheck would be coming from. I think this integrity makes her all the more deserving of the Oscar. I've actually never seen a bad performance from Michelle Yeoh. And I think the reason is because when she takes a role, she really commits to it. By staying true to her values, she's able to bring all of herself to every single character she plays without holding anything back. Now, on to our main story. In Everything Everywhere All at Once, Michelle Yeoh plays Evelyn Wang, a middle-aged Chinese-American immigrant who runs a struggling laundromat. She has a contentious relationship with her whole family, an aging and disapproving father, a rebellious daughter, and a husband who can't seem to take anything seriously. On top of that, she has bills to pay and she's being audited by the IRS. As if that's not enough to juggle, she then learns that the multiverse is in trouble. She's told she has to connect with parallel versions of herself in other universes in order to save the world from destruction. And you think you have problems. So I just gotta say, Michelle Yeoh's performance as an overwhelmed small business owner is a masterclass in acting. My heart totally went out to her. But spoiler alert, that's just the beginning. Where the movie dials it up to 100 is when the multiverse cracks wide open and we get to see her play completely different versions of Evelyn Wang from different universes, each arising from the different choices each Evelyn Wang had made in their lives. This is just about as awesome as it sounds. We get to see Michelle Yeoh play a soulful opera singer just singing her heart out, a glamorous movie star realizing she missed out on the love of her life, and a superhero who's able to stop bullets and save her daughter. I mean, the list goes on. There's even scenes where she's doing kung fu, a clear nod to her role in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Thanks to all these crazy versions of Evelyn Wang, we get all of Michelle Yeoh's experience and talents condensed into a single film. This versatility defines her character, and it's what sets her apart from the other competition. I mean, there's some great nominees for Best Actress this year. Cate Blanchett and Michelle Williams each gave Oscar-worthy performances. But neither of them brought 40 years of experience into a single role. If they give Michelle Yeoh the Oscar, the Academy would finally be recognizing her as a singular talent in Hollywood. And with a role that covers practically everything, they would also be paying tribute to her entire career, all at once. Now, I want to give Michelle a break for a second and talk about something else. If she wins the Oscar this year, it wouldn't just be a win for her, it would be a win for diversity as well. I feel like Hollywood has tackled the whole diversity issue in two ways, one good and one bad. I'm going to start with the bad. The bad way is to just simply put an Asian actor in a stereotypical Asian part, or say an older actor into an older part, and then focus on that one part of them. Like, that's all they can do. I see it all the time. It's how you end up with the Asian hacker or the grumpy old man. But the other way, the good way, is to diversify the kinds of stories being told altogether. It's how you end up with Evelyn's story in Everything Everywhere All at Once. This is a story that focuses on a person's struggle with her family and with her own existence. It's why so many people connected to it. Michelle Yeoh winning an Oscar is like a win for diversity and a strike against ageism, both at the same time. And studios would hopefully see that movies like this and roles like this can be hits. They then greenlight more films like this for more diverse leads, which means more roles for overlooked actors. And even better, more audiences are gonna be represented. I mean, I for one would be really excited to see more movies like that. So, not to put any more pressure on the Academy than I already have, but man, this is your one chance. This is a very special role in a very special movie. When are you ever gonna have an opportunity like this again? Cate Blanchett's the alleged frontrunner, and she already has like 3 Oscars. 3. So come on, how can you not give Michelle Yeoh the Oscar this year? Let's finish the job. You've given her the nomination, now let's just give her the Oscar. So what do you think? Do you think Michelle Yeoh should win the Oscar this year? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button for updates on any future videos.
我真係唔忍心見到一班年青少年好似你哋咁樣自甘墮落。我知道我唔識得教你哋，我知道我冇咩說話可以說服你哋，唔通咁都係我錯咩？你話我點解要嚟呢度教你哋啊？